There's a moment happening right now that has people talking, arguing, and taking sides. A moment involving Jaafar Jackson, one of the most respected voices in the family today, and a question about whether he crossed a line defending his uncle's name, or whether he simply said what needed to be said for years. Before we get to that, you need to understand who Jaafar actually is, because nothing about this moment makes sense without the years that led up to it. This isn't a story about a viral clip. It's a story about a boy who grew up watching a legend on television, never realizing that legend would one day be his to carry. The boy who didn't believe it. Jaafar was maybe 4 years old the first time he saw Billie Jean playing on his grandmother's television. He remembers the glide, the sharp turn, the way the whole room seemed to bend toward the screen. He turned to his mother and asked who that was. When she told him it was his uncle, he didn't believe her. It didn't add up in a 4-year-old's mind that someone from his own family, someone who showed up at holidays and sat at the same dinner table, could move like that, could hold an entire audience in the palm of his hand like that. He said that was the day he understood, without fully understanding it yet, what the Jackson name actually meant. Not as pressure, not yet, as possibility. He carried that feeling quietly for years, long before he ever stepped foot in a studio himself, and he admitted it shaped every session, every rehearsal, every decision that came after, even when he didn't realize it in the moment. But understanding what the name meant as a child is one thing. Understanding what it would cost him as an adult is another. And that cost showed up in a moment nobody expected. The decision that almost didn't happen. When the offer came to play Michael in the biopic, Jaafar didn't say yes right away. He sat with it for weeks, maybe longer. He knew that the second he agreed, every frame of his performance would be measured against the real thing, against a man whose every movement had already been studied by millions. He knew the stakes were higher than anything he'd ever taken on. There was a version of this story where he said no, where the pressure felt like too much and he let someone else carry it, or let the story go untold from the inside. But he kept coming back to one thought. If someone was going to do this, it needed to be family. Someone who understood the way Michael moved when he was tired, the way his voice softened around children, the quiet in between the spectacle that no outsider could ever research their way into. He said yes because saying no would have felt like turning his back on his own blood. What he didn't fully grasp yet was just how much that yes would demand from his body. The obsession nobody saw. Once filming began, Jaafar started hearing stories from family members about how Michael actually worked. Not the polished final product the world saw, but the process behind it. Rehearsing until his body gave out, staying in the studio until sunrise, demanding perfection from himself before ever expecting it from anyone else. The ease people saw on stage wasn't ease at all. It was the visible result of invisible obsession. That lesson followed Jaafar into his own rehearsals. There were nights his body wanted to quit completely, and the only thing that kept him moving was remembering that his uncle never took the easy way through anything, so neither would he. That discipline came at a physical cost most people watching the final film will never understand. The man behind the icon. Not everything Jaafar learned about Michael was heavy. Some of it was the opposite. He described a Michael who was genuinely funny, the kind of funny that didn't need a stage or an audience, someone who loved pranks, who once spent an entire family gathering teaching younger cousins how to fake a fall that looked completely real, laughing harder than any of them when they finally landed it. He talked about Neverland, too, and how, as a child, he didn't understand what it really was. He just thought it was the greatest playground on Earth. It wasn't until he was older, filming scenes set there himself, that he saw it differently. A man who built the childhood he never got to have, piece by piece, ride by ride. And then there was Catherine. Jaafar said Michael's love for his mother wasn't just affection, it was something closer to gratitude, for everything she held together through decades of chaos. He remembered watching them sit quietly together at family events while everything swirled around them, Michael holding her hand, speaking low. That image became one of the emotional anchors Jaafar leaned on during some of the film's hardest scenes. But warmth wasn't the only thing this role demanded of him. It also demanded something far more physical and far more painful. The week he could barely walk. The dance sequences broke him down in ways he didn't expect. He went through pair after pair of shoes. Every night ended with his feet soaking in ice water, his toes taped, his body aching in places he didn't know could ache. There was one stretch where he could barely walk, where the production had to quietly adjust the schedule around him. He never once asked for a stunt double, not for the key moments. If he was going to do this, he decided it would be with his own body, his own effort, his own damage. Anything less would have felt like disrespecting the memory he was trying to honor. He pushed through that week not knowing that the hardest part emotionally was still ahead of him, waiting for the moment the world would finally see what he'd built. When the first trailer dropped, Jaafar didn't watch it live. He said he was too nervous. His phone lit up with messages from family and friends, and still he didn't look. It wasn't until his mother called and told him to watch it that he finally sat alone in his apartment and pulled it up. Seeing himself as Michael for the first time, knowing millions of strangers were watching the exact same footage at the exact same moment, hit him harder than he expected. Pride, terror, and grief arrived all at once. He called his mother back right after, and the two of them cried together on the phone. That was the moment, he said, the whole thing finally felt real. It's that same emotional weight, that same protectiveness over his uncle's story that fans believe is behind whatever really happened in that disputed moment everyone's still debating. Whether or not the Oprah moment unfolded exactly as the rumors claim, one thing about Jaafar has become impossible to ignore. He does not treat his uncle's legacy as something up for casual attack. Every interview, every scene, every choice on this project was filtered through one question: whether it honored the truth of who Michael actually was. Jaafar has said he isn't trying to be Michael, nobody could, but he's proud to be part of a lineage that brought this much joy into the world, and he plans to protect that for the rest of his life. The torch, he said, isn't a burden to him anymore. It's a privilege, and he's ready to carry it wherever it leads next. So here's the real question worth sitting with. Was that viral moment with Oprah exactly as it's been made out to be, or has the internet built a legend out of a single blurry frame? We may never get a full answer, but if there's one thing this story makes clear, it's that Jaafar Jackson is done letting his uncle's name get dragged through disrespect without someone standing in the way. What do you think really happened in that room? Let us know in the comments, and if you actually want to understand the man behind the myth, go back and watch Michael's own words for yourself. That story is still worth hearing, straight from him.